Now, in your high school years, I know you started different ensembles. Were they playing what type of music, or what kind of gigs did you have if you were actually performing
In high school?
professionally? Yeah.
Well, as I had mentioned, there was a place in New Haven called the Exit, and it was a coffee house run and managed by students from Yale Theology School. And on Friday night, it was jazz night.
Yeah.
And my buddy Larry and I, who I knew for a couple of 3 years prior to this, we got to know each other. You'll get a kick out of this. I had first heard an album called Impressions. You know that had India,
Yeah.
John Coltrane, and Eric Dolphy?
Yeah.
So I started playing. I was playing bass clarinet at the time, and I was in rehearsal, and I was playing these things. And Larry came over to me, and he started playing the exact same tune. So I knew at that point we were kindred spirits, as far as jazz is concerned. And on Friday nights, we would go down to the Exit and a different rhythm section every Friday. Mm-hmm. And it was the New Haven Jazz Quartet. And Larry and I would imagine ourselves playing like Coltrane.
Yeah.
And his sheets of sound.
Yeah.
Those were the days. People thought I was good back then. I couldn't imagine. I was just having a good time.
Well, I'll tell you, it prepared you enough to get into the Air Force Band.
Yeah.
And if I've got this right, pretty much right after high school, was it, that you auditioned for the Air Force Band?
It was either that or get drafted.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was 17 at the time. The folks signed their permission for me to do it. Had I not gone into the Air Force Band, I don't know what I would have ended up doing, to be honest with you. My days in radio had yet to occur, so I never imagined myself as going into Armed Forces Network or Armed Forces Radio and TV service. I didn't even know those were options back then.
I see.
Yeah.
So you auditioned for the band.
Yeah.
And you obviously got in and were stationed at, what is it, Westover?
Westover, right outside of Springfield. I was there for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of concerts. The Air Force at the time was looking to bring new people into its rank and file, hence high school concerts.
Yes.
That's why they do high school concerts, to increase recruiting. Town concerts, parades, TV shows, radio shows. Our area of responsibility with the Westover Band was to Newfoundland all the way down to Puerto Rico. So the traveling that I did for a year with that band included a lot of bases in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And were you playing all styles of music, or more like dance band, or?
A little bit of all of it. Mm-hmm. Sure, our share of Sousa when we were doing parades, but Hal McIntyre Jr. was in the band, and he did a lot of writing for us. Mm. He ended up mentoring me a great deal, as I mentioned.
Let's talk about that a little bit. How so?
Well, I was into the Coltrane thing. I identified with it because of my adolescence and in my awareness of hypocrisy and all that, as one would appreciate Lenny Bruce. I was into Coltrane because he was so far out of it,
Yeah.
And Hal McIntyre, who I got to know, he said, listen, I want to teach you to play lyrically. You got the chops. I just want you to play so people will understand and remember what you're playing. Lyric, Coltrane, you can't sing a Coltrane lyric.
Yeah.
So he used to write out the duets that Al Cohen, Zoot Sims used to play.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace, Hal McIntyre. What a beautiful guy.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So how long was your relationship with him?
A
Just that year?
Well, actually, no, because he got orders to go over to England, and I got orders to go to Germany, and I would spend leave with him in Harrow on the hill, just outside of London.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you made yourself over to Germany.
Yeah.
Was that something that you requested, or was that something?
I asked for an overseas assignment, and I could have gone anywhere, but I drew the card to go to United States Air Force Band, Wiesbaden, Germany. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that experience like?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, I wasn't even 19. I was seeing Europe from concert stages.
Yeah.
Main Street parades, beer tents, opera halls, concert halls. It was a wonderful experience.
What was the approximate years? Because you were around 18, 19 by now?
Let me think now. I was sent to that band in 1967. I was there from 67 to 69.
All right.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm asking is because I'm trying to get a sense of maybe what, how jazz was accepted, appreciated, how it was viewed during that particular time period. From your perspective as an American who's there playing and possibly listening to others in Europe who were playing the music.
Let me tell you a story. We were playing a gig at the University of Heidelberg where there was a strong student SDS. You remember the Students for Democratic Society? Yeah. Totally against the war. And the band is sitting there and we're playing Sousa marches, right? And they're starting to cause more of a furor. So finally the commander says, bring on the dance band, bring on the Jazz Lighters, I think was the name of the band.
Jazz Lighters?
Yeah, I think so. Highlighter Jazz, something like that.
Yeah.
And we played Duke Ellington music. And all the beasts were still. Yeah. That was the end. We
wonderful.
played jazz and
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Did you have a small combo as well as the big
Oh,
band?
yeah.
Yeah, and you were involved in that, I assume.
Yeah. Tenor, clarinet player. We used to do the officers' clubs. I can't play a note. I gave up my tenor. I couldn't fill the horn, for respiratory reasons.
Yeah.
And I picked up the flute for breath control, more or less than anything. It's a very difficult instrument to play, And I never developed the proper embouchure anyways. I'm self-taught. I taught myself all wrong.
Yeah.
And then I decided to pick up my main instrument again. I bought a clarinet about a year ago. And I sit there in my office. I'm on my ham radio. I'm on my computer. And if there's something good coming up on iTunes, I'll noodle, pick up the clarinet and noodle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the extent of my music these days.